Hello, and thank you for joining No Soundbites Allowed. I am your host, Michael Voss, Dragon of the Southern Tier. I am happy to be here with you today, talking about something that I believe is very important. Now, I know most people will be focused on the joint speech by Biden on April 28th. And most people will be talking about that. In fact, we talked about it ourselves on this channel. But there are other issues that are going on in America at this moment that are going to be overshadowed and are just as important to talk about. In fact, we believe they may be more important to talk about because of the impact that they will have on our nation for the next several decades to come. We'll explain what we mean in just one second. But if it is the first time that you have come to the channel, we welcome you and thank you for joining us. We do long-form political commentary on this program, and every Sunday at 2:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we do a live stream with you on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, DLive, all the social media that the internet overlords will allow to provide you with an opportunity to have your free speech, to share your voice in tweets and comments, and also in calling into the program to say what you think is important about what's happening in America and to share your voice. One of the few channels that allow you to do that. And we look forward to hearing from you no matter where you are in the world every Sunday at 2:30 p.m. to share in that expression of free speech. We hope to see you there with us. Now, for the issue at hand, and I know this is going to be overshadowed to some extent by Joe Biden and talking about the State of the Union or the joint speech to Congress that he did on April 28th. That being said, let's focus on what's going to affect our children for the next decade, if not longer. What's going to be happening to the next generation of children? How are we able to protect our American values that are being corrupted as we speak? Now, this is a very serious subject and something we've talked about before. You may recall on the program that we were talking about just on April 20th, we were addressing in our local region, the school board and the decision of schools to try and indoctrinate children into a more left-wing, actually, to be honest, a socialist progressive ideology, to hate police, to hate individuals based on the color of their skin, something that we feel is incredibly racist and something that should never be taught to children and is the antithesis of the freedom that is America. So that is the problem, that teachers are currently teaching our students to learn about hate, to hate individuals born of a specific skin color. And it doesn't matter whether that's white, black, Asian, Hispanic. Anytime that someone is told another individual is lesser or inherently evil because of the color of their skin, that's racism. In our opinion, we believe that is the definition, and that is the definition of racism. And that's a bad thing to teach children. So who is in charge of teaching these kids? Well, many people would say it's the teacher or perhaps the principal of a school, as was offered and suggested in the conversation and some of the defense of this kind of teaching, as we saw at the Binghamton School District School Board meeting. But in fact, that's not quite true. The people who are in charge of that are our school boards, the individuals who oversee our principals, our superintendents, and our teachers, and setting the guidelines and the direction of the teaching of our children. And we saw a lot of that. Now, a lot of people are very motivated to be able to teach our children, to have specific individuals with very specific ideologies teaching our children how to hate America, how to hate each other based on the color of their skin, and how to change America from a democracy and a capitalist society into a socialist society similar to Venezuela, Cuba, North Korea, Russia, or China, who are committing genocide at this moment. And we know this is true because we've seen that happening, just as we saw and we reported on April 21st happening in Binghamton, New York, as a BLM slash Progressive Leaders of Tomorrow, or otherwise known as PLOT, event where they sought to get individuals high, to be meant to be under the influence of mind-altering psychoactive drugs, so that they could then get those individuals to sign petitions to get members elected onto the local school board, and thus be able to guide and ensure that children will grow up with the proper indoctrination of supporting democratic socialism, progressivism, and socialism in general. This is something that we oppose on this channel. You may not, but I think it's very important that people are aware of what is happening in their elections locally. School boards, your local school board, who is going to be in charge of teaching your children for the next 10 years, and therefore setting up their expectations of what America should be from that point going forward. Now, as a reaction to that, and knowing that we have seen individuals who are abused, who are used by BLM and Progressive Leaders of Tomorrow and other democratic-leaning organizations, fringe groups that use the advantage of individuals being incapable of being able to make proper decisions because of mind-altering drugs, well, that motivated us to then go forward and make a challenge. And we have set forth a challenge, as we have published here, where we have asked the school board, where we have asked the Board of Elections, where we have asked the school board to disavow petitions of those individuals who are under those mind-altering substances, to disavow and disregard the petitions and signatures of those individuals promoting the abuse of individuals. Because that is bad. If an organization or individuals are more than willing to take advantage of American citizens when they are intoxicated, when they are incapable of being able to consent, then those aren't people we want teaching our children. Would you truly want your child to be taught based on the guidelines of individuals who got elected to office because they abused other American citizens and were willing to use those individuals without their consent, without their ability to give consent? That's a very troubling prospect. And we do want to make this very clear. We do not agree with that. As we highlight in this article, which you can find at mvoss.com, and the links will be down in the description, you have the power. All elections actually are in the power of you, the American citizen. You get to decide who is on the ballot and who is not, both by your signatures on the petitions and voting in primaries, and of course, the final election, any general election that may occur. But you are the vital key throughout that entire process, something that is not mentioned by Republicans, Democrats, almost any of the major political parties. They don't emphasize. You get to pick who gets on that ballot. You get to decide who is going to represent either your political ideology or gain your vote. You get to decide who you support. And we go through this process. And you, when faced with individuals that you do not trust, whose ideology or actions give you pause and question, you have the right to make a challenge, to say that person should not be on the ballot, that they have broken the rules that we all agree to live by, and that that person has not earned the right to be able to be on an election ballot, nor do they have the right to be seated in an elected office. And we go through that. And part of that process is to make a challenge, as we have, to say that we do not accept this, that this is unacceptable, that to take advantage of individuals who cannot give consent, who are under the influence of mind-altering psychoactive drugs, is the same as any other form of abuse. that this is inherently and absolutely wrong. Now, you may disagree. You may believe that individuals under the influence of psychoactive drugs can give consent. That's not exactly what the law says. That's not what New York State law says. You may believe that it doesn't matter because you promote socialism or you believe in the progressive ideology. But that's not what the rules say. And that's not the proper process. And many people would have pause with anyone who would use those kind of tactics and question what else would those individuals teach our children. Think about that for a moment. Even if you want to be a socialist, even if you think America should be a socialist nation, do you truly want individuals who would actually use you without your consent to get what they want? Is that a socialist ideal? Is that a progressive ideal? I would hope it isn't. But of course, we look forward to hearing your comments to see what you think about this. Do you believe that it's okay for candidates to use individuals against their consent to be able to manipulate their way into an election just for the sake of them gaining power? Do you believe that political organizations and quasi-political organizations should employ these kind of tactics? Do you believe that our children should be taught that this is a proper manner? Are you fearful that our children might learn or might be taught, because of these individuals, even worse kind of activities? We look forward to seeing your comments, and we hope that if you found this to be informative, that this is something that you found interesting, please like and share. But most of all, please subscribe and add your voice to this expression of free speech. And we hope to see you every Sunday at 2:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time from anywhere in the world to continue that free speech conversation. We thank you, and we hope that you'll be well.